Welcome back. So today we're talking about the new ZERMATT Arms Matterhorn chassis, and that is this beautiful thing that we got right here. So before we dig deep into this thing, we're gonna roll the intro. Here we go. So we're gonna break this thing down. Now, what we're gonna cover is this chassis in two different videos, right? So this is gonna be part one, where we kind of talk about our initial look and some of the key features of this chassis that I want to point out to you guys. And then the part two version is going to be more of a, can this thing fit the role in a tactical perspective from utilizing previous experience and seeing how this thing fares, doing a little bit more rugged style of target engagements. A couple things. I want to thank ZERMATT Arms for sending this out for review. When they did reach out to me originally, they asked for what my thoughts were on how this thing can fit in multiple roles, and this is the reason why we're going to be doing multiple videos with this in a competitive mindset, the everyday enthusiast mindset, and then adding a little bit of the tactical side to it as well, so that we can show the versatility of this this chassis. All right, so next I'm gonna have you guys hit the link in the description. That way you guys can go and see the exact specs for this thing, and we don't have to make it overly long drawn video of going through each individual thing. Now, what we're gonna talk about is from the front to the rear of key points that I wanna point out on what's awesome about this chassis that you're not gonna necessarily see on the website itself. Now, full disclosure, I've only had this thing for about a week now. So my opinions on this are going to be from more of a first look and first impressions of what this chassis has to offer. Going from there, I only had one range day with it where we shot about 200 rounds. Before we start digging deeper and deeper into this platform, I'm just going to roll some footage of this thing being ran at the range. So here you go. All right, let's break down this thing into some quick key points. So, again, the first thing I want you guys to do is ignore the barreled action here. That is not what this video is about. It is about this beautiful chassis here. If you guys have already gone over to the website and looked at this chassis, the first thing you're going to notice is this color here. So this is a prototype color that's been Cerakoted in two different forms of FDE to kind of give it a two-tone look. Looks amazing. I think it looks great. This is not a offering that they have on their website at the moment, but if you guys go ahead and put that in the comments that the way you think this thing looks, and if you like this color, then maybe they'll add it to their list. While we're on the color, it does come in two different options. It is an anodizing on the aluminum itself, which is the main frame here, and they come in gray or black. And then these panels are a wood composite that has the nice wood grain that you guys will see when you go onto their website. So super cool. They look great. I absolutely love this FDE colors. And when you do these panels do Cerakote or spray paint extremely well. So you won't even tell that it's a wood composite. It looks like any other kind of polymer grip panel that you would normally have. Up here, obviously you guys can see this got ARCA, that's going to be on the website. The biggest things that I want to highlight though is that the width of this forend is wider than the Arca itself, making it way more comfortable. So when you guys are carrying this thing, moving around, so on and so forth, you're not going to feel the edges of that Arca digging into the grooves of your fingers. Huge plus. The next thing is that because it's wider than Arca, which is wider than most rails to begin with, if you guys are going to saddle that into this bag for barricade shooting, the wider that surface is, the less of a rocking motion you're going to get. And that's going to add to stability, which is going to increase your consistency of rounds downrange. So similar to like a V-hull boat versus a flat bottom boat, the flat bottom is going to be a lot more stable on the water, which is the same thing that happens here. This particular rifle will saddle nicely. And if you add the weights on the outside there, it makes it even wider. So from a competitive mindset, this is great. For precision shooting in general, this is great. With that, we do have internal weights, both in the forend, in the buttstock area, and external weights that you guys can put onto here. I know that it'll be on the website as well, but I'm gonna just quickly give you those weight specs. So completely empty at 6.75 pounds, with the internal weights being the forend and the buttstock area, brings it to just over 10 pounds. And then if you do internal weights plus all the external weights, it brings it just over 12 pounds in total. As this rifle sits, that you guys can see, and if I were to put, empty mag, as it sits like this, so empty mag with this Gray Ops barricade stop, bipods, barrel, scope, and mount, this thing is sitting at just over 25 pounds as is. So for competition shooting, this is a great comp rifle, which is why this is how I set it up to be a competition rifle. All right, last thing on the forend that I want to highlight is that it does have a spine style system on the inside. So when you look at most chassis, they're either, like some kind of box shape, or they got a U shape. In that U shape or box shape, if there is nothing to connect the two sides to each other, then you're going to get flex on the walls, being these high sides right here. And when you start to articulate the bipods going side to side, you'll see that flex happening. Because this has a spine in it, it does not have that flex. So this thing is extremely rigid all the way through here and has no harmonic vibrations happening at all in there, which is great, because originally, just from the pictures, I thought it'd have like a tuning fork effect, but it does not. All the vibrations, die as it goes through the chassis itself, making this a very enjoyable rifle to shoot. So it feels dense and not like a hollow chassis. All right, transitioning back, because I do want to make this kind of quick for you guys. This main section here, it is a Remington 700 footprint. So for those that don't know, a Remington 700 footprint refers to the base of an action like this has the exact same footprint. So this one, the one that's in here currently, and this one, both have this same style bottom here so that they can fit inside this chassis. Most aftermarket actions are all going to be generally a Remington 700 footprint. So if you have a Savage or a Howa, that is not going to fit in here because they have a different footprint. All right, down to the mag well here. So when you guys have a mag in here, which this is AICS mag compatible, there tends to be every once in a while up and down play. And that is due to the fact that these mags, where the catch is at, is ever so slightly higher or lower depending on the manufacturer of that mag. What this chassis offers is the ability to have an adjustment on the inside of the mag latch to fill that void, so that when the mag is in there, there's almost no up and down slop. This also creates a smoother transition of rounds going into the action itself as you guys, pass through there. Next is going to be the trigger guard area. You guys can see it's a very large window, which is going to aid you guys in environments that require gloves when shooting. And having enough space right there between the trigger itself and getting your finger rested up inside there. Moving back, we do have this section that is adjustable here. So for two reasons why I like these panels or this grip style. One, it is very textured, which means that you are not going to lose you're not going to lose grip on this rifle. The texturing is deep enough that if it was wet outside, those grooves have somewhere for that water to go, maintaining the ability to have a solid grip all the way through. On their website, when you do order one of these chassis, you do have different pitch angles of grip that you guys can order. So depending on if you like more of a slant or more of a vertical, you have that option. This one right here is more vertical. Now, as we transition down to the bottom here, one of the things I do want to highlight is this large surface area here. Most of the time, it's just the grip itself that has a little bit of a nub that you guys can rest on, but this has an extension here. And what's cool about that is when you're in certain positions where you're riding off of the bipods and it's a short platform you're on, you guys can rest your bag with a decent amount of surface area right underneath this flat portion if this is just hanging off that whatever that surface is, and you have no ability to reach that the back end of the buttstock. Up here, one of the things that is super nice is that because this is aluminum all the way through from the front to the rear, they maintain rigidity in this particular section right here. If you look at other traditional stocks, generally this part right here is a lot wider, and that's so that it can maintain its structure and rigidity into the buttstock area. But because this is aluminum, they were able to notch this out quite a bit. This is one of my favorite parts. So in the classes that we teach at Sidewinder, one of the ways that we can control as much recoil as possible is really getting that palm behind the pistol grip itself. This is one of the advantages of chassis style rifles with a pistol grip. Because this one in particular has a massive cutout right here, I'm actually able to get my palm all the way behind the pistol grip area very comfortably, which transitioning from a chassis to this seemed very easy to do. So again, we'll be able to get our palm way behind that pistol grip, which is super nice, versus being way up here on the side like other traditional stocks. So traditional stocks, again, they look like this up here versus being able to bring our palm all the way behind that pistol grip, allowing us the ability to maintain that proper recoil management. All right, continuing back. When we look at the cheek riser, so the cheek riser style is toolless in the sense that you guys can just unscrew that piece, adjust it, and pull it out, giving you the clearance that you need in order to get to the back of the action. And the cool part is that this has this wheel right here has a shelf that you can move up and down to bottom out where you want that return to cheek riser position to be at. So with the two pillars here dropping down, when you set this so that the shelf comes up and these pillars bottom out on top of it, then this thing will repeat its same cheek riser height every single time after you guys service your rifles. After that, and then it's just cinch that thing back down as it's a clamping design, and it's good to go. The other cool thing is that this does have this side-to-side adjustment, so you guys can just take this out, look underneath here. If you guys pop those two screws loose, and then you guys can shift this, left or right, depending on how you want. And the reason for that, again, if anybody doesn't know, having that ability to shift that over to the right, if you are a right-hand shooter, is instead of having to kind of bring your head into the cheek riser like this so that you can see into the scope, straight into the scope, by pushing that to the right, you now can get more in line with the scope and then drop into it, thus not having to crank your head sideways near as much. All right, butt pad area. So we have this other screw back here that's a toolless adjustment. This gives you the ability to adjust the height of your butt pad. From there, we have length of pull. Length of pull on this particular chassis is done with spacers. Each spacer is roughly 1/4 inch. And if I'm not mistaken, it comes with 3 spacers from the factory when you order this chassis. So it is a spacer style system. Originally, I was kind of concerned about that as to why they did that. I figured if you have all this other nice stuff on this chassis, why would you do a spacer system? But after further investigation, when you pop these panels all off here, that's where all those weights for the buttstock go. So they fit very nice and tailored into there so that they have no shake, no wobble, no issues. And because it takes up a lot of that internal space right there, there is no space for two rods to go in and out for a toolless style adjustment. The other thing too is you guys got to remember that when you guys are looking at this chassis, pretty much once you have it set up, it is going to stay set up to you. So having the spacer system isn't that big of a deal. When you look at the way the spacer system is that each one of those spacers actually lock up really, really nicely. So it's not just a one long screw and then you just start sandwiching these plates on. It's each individual plate screws into the one previously, building it out. So it does have quite a bit of rigidity and lockup with those spacers itself. All in all, again, my experience with this chassis is very very limited at the moment. I've done just a bunch of dry fires and then that one range day. So with that, what we are going to do is we are going to go continue showing you this thing in action, and we will do a debrief afterwards on what it felt like after shooting this thing. So here we go. All right, we're back in here again, guys. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of that footage. The location that we were at, we have the ability to run a bunch of props, which is super nice. It is a PRS location. And one of the things after shooting this was how comfortable this chassis is. With a stock design, especially when you have a heavy, drop in the pistol grip area, I do feel that the ability to transition to different positions was very easy, and it does have more of a linear path. So really just driving that into those different positions seemed to be very natural and easy for this platform. When getting down and zeroing this gun, and literally the first couple rounds out of this chassis, I was super pumped up. And the reason why is when you shoot different rifles in different chassis, different platform, whatever setup they are, each one has a different feeling of how the transfer of recoil is to your shoulder essentially, and then out. This one has a very, very smooth linear push into your shoulder pocket, which is a testament to its almost monolithic design of pure aluminum from front to rear. So it has a very, very straight and linear path. It does not feel like it wants to bounce. It doesn't feel like it's a hollow. It's just dense and linear all the way to the shoulder pocket. And it is super, super pleasant to shoot. After adding the weights in there, it just made it even better. So the analogy would be very similar to if you guys were to open and close a car door of a, you know, something cheaper, and it has more of that bang noise and that hollowed out noise versus a very fancy car that has more of a thud. This is like the fancy car that's more like a thud. And what I found to be very, very easy is that I did not have to work this thing near as much for the level of comfort that I had with controlling the reticle and getting those shots off. Again, going into that linear path, this also helps you and helped me to be able to see my own rounds through the scope itself. So this is a 6.5 Creedmoor on a 24-inch barrel, and the ammo that I was shooting was Norma. That ammo is very hot, so this thing shoots with a little bit more aggressiveness than other 6.5 ammo. But I was able to maintain and control all of that, again, from how dense this entire chassis felt. I know I'm starting to repeat myself, but it is a huge key point on what you guys need to look for, especially when you start buying different platforms. But all in all, from first impressions and first rounds, this thing is absolutely amazing. I have no complaints at this point. We're going to keep running this. This is going to be on the channel a lot more. You guys are going to continue to see this chassis being ran. Currently in this configuration, I don't have any complaints. And again, going from the mindset of a competition. Now, if we were to kind of jump into a little bit of the tactical video, going into when we transition this over to this 20-inch heavy Palma here, there are a couple concerns that I do have with this chassis. Nothing significant, but from the tactical mindset on what I'd be looking for from a, you know, a sniper style build, there are a couple micro concerns, but you guys are just gonna have to wait till part 2 when we break that down over there. So that video will be a little bit quicker, a little cooler, and yeah. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do have more questions about this or things that I did not cover that you would like to see covered next time, go ahead and drop those in the comments, and you guys have a good rest of your day.